morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always, told out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at the top 10 cards from Stella Miracle over in Japan. I'm not saying this is going to translate exactly to the top 10 cards from Stella Crown over here, but I am saying that a lot of the other cards coming out in Stella Crown are more in the filler range, bunch of stuff on the Battle Academy, etc. So I'm not saying the top 10 from Stella Crown is going to be exactly the same as this, but I am saying that all signs point to it being basically pretty much this. Sound like a plan? Excellent. So coming in at let's give a couple of honorable mentions. I actually really like the Comfey I showed you earlier. Makes both players draw 3 cards for a single energy. It makes for a really good little deck to try and deck your opponent out by making them draw cards. I'm not saying it's going to be the best deck ever, but it's fun and I love it, so I wanted to mention it. Also, Cinderace EX. I don't think it's good enough to actually get on the list, but I do think it's interesting. I've seen some winning decks for it over in Japan already. 280 for free energies, not too bad. Or free energy, 180 to one of your opponent's bench with 320 HP and free retreat. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I am saying there is enough here with Cinderace to give me a little bit of pause that it might actually end up being a decent little card. Excellent. Oh, and actually, while we're here, we should also give a little bit of love to Slowking. Slowking is another card which, again, I don't think I'm ready to put on the list here, but I've seen it popping up in Gardevoir decks, because for 2 energy, discard the top card of your deck, and if it's a Pokemon with no rule box, use one of its attacks as this attack. There are some fun combos that can be made with this, using attacks which should be out of range of your use. Using attacks which you shouldn't be able to use, but you can because of this. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying this is the best card, but I absolutely am saying that it's one to keep an eye on. Also, Crispin. One more, Crispin. I love Crispin. Support a card, search your deck for 2 energy cards of different types. One goes into your hand and one gets put in on a Pokemon. You actually get to attach it. Again, it's not really seeing any play. It's just not. Not that I've seen so many deck lists and I'm not seeing it popping up. But that doesn't mean it's not fun. It just means that it's not seeing enough play yet. This is one that I am convinced at some point is going to end up being pretty good. Cool. Excellent. So coming in at number 10, we've got Majestic Tree. I don't have an English version of this, but I do have a European version, which I think for now will have to do. And this is a stadium. It's an A-Spec, one of 2 A-Specs on the list. And I really like this one. Unless you find one of your Pokemon that is able to evolve, has been down for a turn, and you can evolve it up into either the stage 1, into the stage 1, but then you can keep going and evolve it right up into the stage 2 as well, if you so wish. I've seen it see play with Charizard. Now, I'm not saying every Charizard deck plays this. They don't. A lot of different A-Specs still being played in Charizard, but I've seen a bunch of winning Charizard lists with this. And then I've also seen it played in Greninja decks, and I still don't think Greninja's good enough, incidentally, but it's still popping up in some Greninja decks, and if it's popped up in both of them, I think we could see more in the future. In at number 9, we've got Bouffalont, and I'm just going to tell you right now, this could be too low. Bouffalont could be legit. 2 energy, and if you've got any other Bouffalont in play, basic colorless Pokemon takes 60 less damage from your opponent's Pokemon's attacks. It doesn't stack, you can only use one of them. But it gives Terapagos some extra bulk. You can just use it yourself and just have multiple Bouffalont, all of which get buffed. You can use it with Snorlax, who is most definitely a Pokemon that could do with a little bit of damage reduction. And I love this. And because it's damage reduction, not extra HP, it keeps getting done. So if you've got 100 HP and this reduces by 60, 2 lots of 100 won't KO you, because it actually ends up as 2 lots of 40, whereas if you just got 60 HP, 2 lots of 100 would. This is a very good card. We're seeing it pop up in a lot of control builds right now, but it's also being used to boost up Terapagos, which is a legit card we'll get to later on. And I'm just saying, this is one to start taking seriously. In at number 8, we've got Galvantula EX, a card which I'm pretty sure I'm still underrating, and I'm pretty sure should probably be slightly higher on this list. And if it should be higher on this list, well then I will admit that later. But what we've got from Galvantula are 2 attacks that are not entirely even. We've got 2 energy, and it does 110 or 220 to an EX or V. It's fine, you'll get some decent damage. But for 3 energy, discard all energy from this Pokemon, and during your opponent's next turn, they cannot play any item cards from their hand. Item lock has always been good. And I'm just telling you right now, I'm not saying that Galvantula is suddenly going to be like the best card in the game. But I am telling you that a bunch of Galvantula have started winning tournaments over in Japan. And these are cards which I think we need to be a little bit aware of. And it's a card which hasn't made my top 10 list. And okay, fine, that is actually because it came out in Night Wanderer, but I don't think it made my top 10 list for Night Wanderer either. It's Power Hourglass, and it says at the end of your turn, if the Pokemon this is attached to is in the active spot, you can attach a basic energy from your discard to that Pokemon. So you attach 3 energy to Galvantula, use the attack, all 3 get discarded, oh no! But then Power Hourglass goes and gets one of them right back. Oh, and then you can always use Blissey for the other one. There's a cool combo with Blissey and Glass Trumpet, where Glass Trumpet gets energy and then Blissey moves it over to Galvantula, and you do this every single turn. I like this, ladies and gentlemen. I think I'm underrating Galvantula. Sorry about that. In at number 7, we've got Gravity Stone. This one's nice and easy. It is a card that it's a tool you attach to your active, and both active Pokemon have to pay 1 more energy to retreat. Yeah, it's really annoying, honestly. And it is going to keep a bunch of Pokemon in the active for longer than they would ideally want to be kept in the active, and that's why this ends up being a good card. I don't have a lot of analysis like I did for something like Galvantula or any fun combos, although anything that increases retreat combos with this. I just think it's a really good card that I've already seen popping up in a bunch of decks. And that means we need to start taking this very, very seriously. But I've told you about it now. So let's move on to number 6, the aforementioned Glass Trumpet. Now, what Glass Trumpet does, it's exactly my kind of card. I adore this card. It lets you attach, if you've got a Terra Pokemon in play, that's very, very important. You can attach 2 energy, 1 to each of 2 benched colorless Pokemon from your discard pile. Now, you can only attach to colorless Pokemon, but you need to have a Terra Pokemon in play, and this is already seeing a bunch of play. It's seeing play with Terapagos. It's actually seeing play with Hisuian Zoroark. Yeah, that's apparently back now, because you can use this, which is cool. And it makes a phenomenal combo with Blissey EX, because you attach to Blissey EX, and then Blissey's got Happy Switch, which lets you move a basic energy from one of your Pokemon to another. So you use this to attach to Blissey and then move them wherever you like. And okay, there's an extra step involved, sorry. But it means that you can actually get the energy anywhere. Glass Trumpet is a great card, and I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of it as time goes by. In at number 5, we got the best SPEC in the deck, Sparkling Crystal. I love this. It is a tool that, when attached to a Terra Pokemon, reduces the attack cost by 1. And it just makes everything so much easier. There's a billion different combos that can be pulled off here. One I showed you a couple of days ago was using this with Wellspring Mask, Ogerpon, and Double Turbo. To be using Wellspring Mask, Ogerpon's attack to do decent damage to the active and the bench from turn 1 moving forward. Because Wellspring Mask, Ogerpon says you've got to shuffle free energy into your deck, but you can actually pay the attack with Double Turbo and the tool, and then you're only actually shuffling 2 energy back, but it's 1 energy card, and you can reattach it and go. Or you can use this to turn Dragapult into a single energy attacker. Or you can use it to turn Terapagos into a single energy attacker. Or you can use it with almost anything else. It's great. In at number 4, I've mentioned it like 17 times already. It's Terapagos EX, and Terapagos EX is nuts. Free energy, 30 damage for each of your bench Pokemon. But then we got Area 0 Underdepths to let you have 8 bench Pokemon. That really helps. Or you can do 180 and then basic non-colorless Pokemon can't hurt you. I love it. There's a lot about this card which I think is absolutely brilliant. And yeah, it's a great attacker. And it's a basic colorless Pokemon. So we're seeing this being played a lot in a lot of different decks. Just because it's really good. Like I showed you Palkia the other day. Well, Palkia needs a Terra Pokemon to turn on Area 0 Underdepths. And this is a basic Pokemon that does damage based on the number of bench Pokemon. Just like Palkia. So it fits beautifully into that. It fits into a bunch of different decks. Or you can build a deck around it. Either way, we're good. In at number 3, we've got Briar. And look, Briar lets you take extra prizes. And I'm a simple man. If I see a card that takes extra prizes, unless it is super awkward to use, I'm looking at you, Guzzlord, it's going to see a bunch of play. And even Guzzlord saw some play, even though it was super awkward to use. Because here's the thing. Your opponent has to have 2 prizes remaining. You play this, take a KO with your Terra Pokemon, you take an extra prize. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. I adore this card. And we even saw the rule in the other day that you can play it when your opponent's got 2 prizes remaining. And then even if you go down to 1 prize for your opponent remaining, this still activates for the turn as long as you played it when they had 2 prizes remaining. We are already seeing it be a staple in Charizard decks, and we are going to see it a lot more as time goes by. Now, in at number 2, we've got Noctowl, and there is a strong argument that Noctowl should be number 1. There is a very strong argument I've got these 2 the wrong way round. I don't think I have, incidentally, because if I thought I had them the wrong way round, I'd switch them. But I'm just telling you that Noctowl could be number 1. Now, what Noctowl does, it's the ability Jewels Seeker, and we've got an English version of this from the Elite Trainer box. And when you evolve into this Pokemon, search your deck for 2 trainer cards. Yeah, we've seen this before. We know this is busted good. This is a phenomenal card. Gonna see a huge amount of play. And I'm going to put Rotom here as well. Because Rotom, you can only use it on your first turn. And you search your deck for up to 3 100 HP or less colorless Pokemon. And whack them into your hand. And it's only really good for setting up Noctowl. Might be good for other stuff in the future, but not really now. But I don't really care because it's great for setting up Noctowl. So yeah, doesn't get its own space on the list. Comes in with Noctowl. Noctowl's broken, so what beats it to the number 1 spot? Well, if you've been paying attention, you would actually already know. I've mentioned the card already. It's Area 0 Underdepths. And this is just a card, it's a stadium card, that says if you've got a Terra Pokemon in play, you can have 8 bench Pokemon. Now, obviously, it's great with Terapagos. It does 30 damage for each of your bench. Obviously, it's great with Origin Form Palkia that does 60 plus 20 more for each bench Pokemon, yours and your opponent's. But we are starting to see some weird stuff. Again, I'm looking at a lot of deck lists coming out of Japan. And we are seeing some weird stuff here. Like, I'm seeing Miraidon decks. And, well, Miraidon decks, they're going to be playing Raikou, right? Because Raikou's great. And Raikou's got an attack. Lightning Rondo does 20 damage plus 20 more for each bench Pokemon, yours and your opponent's. So they're playing, and I'm not making this up, Terra Lightning type Mewtwo so that they can play Area 0 Underdepths. Mewtwo is a basic Pokemon, remember? So that they can then do massive damage with Raikou. That's a weird combo, and yet it's being played because Area 0 Underdepths is that good. And it's not just extra damage for all these Pokemon, although it is, it's also just extra bench space for stuff like Noctowl. It means you can play stuff like Squawkabilly in the early game, get that extra little boost of consistency, and when your opponent inevitably gets rid of the stadium and you have to go down to 5 bench Pokemon, you get rid of Squawkabilly and then all of a sudden it's not a 2-prize liability sitting on your bench. I've been looking at so much Stella Miracle coming out of Japan in the past week or so. And everything I'm seeing is telling me that Area Zero Underdepths is completely reshaping the meta. It might be a stadium card. And I don't usually put stadium cards number 1 on my top 10 list. But I think this time it's really earned its spot. Or has it? That's where you come in. Tell me what your favourite cards in the set are. Tell me what you think the best cards are going to be. Give me a full top 10 list if you wish in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and a whole bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all kinds of fun things. And of course, get shoutouts on the channel like the lovely Danger Morales, who's been a supporter of ours for a while now and is a very lovely person. So shout out to them for the support and the loveliness. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.